I make $300 in cash flow. But guess what? If your roof breaks, you just lost all your cash flow plus probably future cash flow. Versus in California, yeah, if let's say I need to replace the roof, it's going to not be fun. It's going to suck. But I made $700,000 of equity. So knowing that in the back of my mind, I know that, okay, it sucks today, but look at how this laid a foundation for me. So it's once again, it ties to that delayed gratification. But on the other side, you cannot stack a bunch of properties where you're negative $500 a month. So that's what kind of led me to my next stage in terms of my investing.
Yeah. Let's hit that next stage.
So basically what I did was, thanks to YouTube and all the free content that's out there, I basically learned that in single family home, it's either cash flow or appreciation, right? California is no cash flow, all appreciation. You pick a market like Memphis, Tennessee, it's all cash flow, no appreciation, right? That's single family home. You pick and choose one or the other. But with apartments, when I learned about this concept, it really blew my mind and made me pivot completely to apartment complex. Was for apartment complexes, the value is based on the net operating income, which is income minus expense divided by the market cap rate. So if you increase your income as you increase the cash flow, it actually increases the value of your apartment complex. So in a weird way, you have your cake and you eat it too. The more cash flow you get, it'll actually force more appreciation. Once I understood this concept, I just said, oh my God, I wish I learned about this sooner. And that's when I really dived in. What I did was joined a mentorship program. And then from there, I basically learned the basics of underwriting real estate. I learned how to set up a direct off-market mailing campaign. And the struggle that we have as a beginning investor, especially in multifamily apartment complexes, is they don't care if you own 100 single family homes. If you have zero experience in multifamily. Because of that, brokers are not going to bring you good deals. And to be honest, from my experience, brokers don't even have good deals in the first place. The second thing is lenders will not take you seriously because lenders want a track record. They want experience. So you're stuck in that catch-22. How can I get experience? How can I have a track record if I can't even buy an asset, apartment complex asset, right? It's just like, how can I get a job that wants experience if I can't even get the job or the experience in the first place? So instead of complaining about that, I just said, you know what? I want to go find off-market deals where I'm bypassing the broker and I'm going to find such a good deal off-market that the lender will not care that I have zero experience. So what I did was I sent out 300 letters a month for 6 months. So that was 1,800 letters. I was targeting Oklahoma City. And why I chose Oklahoma City, it's real simple. I had a really good property manager there. It's very landlord friendly and it's more of a cash flow market. I'll be honest. It's a very steady eddy market. Like when the market soars, it's flat. When it goes down, like right now, it's flat. It just steadily goes up a little bit every year, right? So it's a nice steady eddy market, which is a good complement to my California real estate, which is a little more volatile, right? So I sent out letters. This owner called me. He owned a 26 unit apartment complex. After some back and forth, I made an offer for $500,000 for a 26 unit apartment complex. And the rent roll was around $10K a month gross. And this just completely blew my mind. Like I just said, wait a second, all my single family homes I bought in California were $1 million. And I'm getting a 26 unit apartment complex for half the price. And in California, $500,000 gets you a condo. If it's San Francisco, you're probably getting a little shed under the bridge.
Yeah. Cardboard box, maybe.
Yeah. Cardboard box. That's a fixer upper, right? Under a bridge. And I just said, wow, and I can get $10,000 a month gross. And when I bought it, it appraised at $750,000. So that's $250,000 in instant equity day one, right? So let's just take a step back. I'm getting $10,000 a month. My loan is $2,000 a month. The way I underwrite these deals is your expense is 50%. So you have 10,000 minus 5,000 in expense. You have 5,000 net minus my loan of $2,000. That's $3,000 in cash flow, right? And I only down about 125K, 25% down. So you do the math, right? 3K times 12, that's 36K. Divide by 125K. That's probably over a 10% cash on cash return. So I just said, wow, that's like a home run deal. But what made it even sweeter was the market rents. The owner was renting it at $40 per unit, all bills paid. Or sorry, it was $500 a unit, all bills paid. So all bills paid means that the landlord covers the gas, electricity, water, trash. In apartments, usually the landlord will cover the trash and the water, and usually tenants will cover their own electricity and their own. So in reality, the rent was $500, but after paying the utilities, like the water, the electricity, and then the gas, it was really like $400 or about $350. But the market rent, assuming the units were renovated, is $700. So I could double the rents, right? If I double my rent, what am I doing to the value of my asset that I'm buying, my apartment complex? I'm doubling the value of my apartment complex. 26. The backtrack, I bought it for $500,000. It appraised for $750,000 and had the potential to double my rents. So I can double the value to $1.5 million. But I'm gonna have to go in and renovate the units. It's going to cost me maybe $10,000 to $15,000 per unit to renovate it. And then a new kitchen, new flooring, fresh coat of paint, new bathroom, everything, right? Basically cookie cutter modern apartment complex. And then once you get those higher rents, you just continue the process, right? You renovate a unit or two, rent them out, 2 more tenants leave, you renovate those units, repeat that process. So you fast forward to today, I almost am done renovating all the units. I think I have about 6 left out of 26. And I was able to actually renovate the units for 10K each. I was able to double the rents to 700. What we decided to do was not renovate all the units. We just wanted to keep some more affordable options that were like $600. But I was able to increase those rents, and like I hit my goal, and Oklahoma appreciate over the past 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised once interest rates go down, like not current interest rates, but once they go down in a few years, I probably would have at least doubled the value of the apartment complex there.
That's incredible. You took ballpark, once you're done, $260K that you put into these 26 units to renovate them, to double rent, to gain $750,000 worth of equity or value, which is incredible. Yeah, it's mind-blowing what you can do with value-add multifamily and at scale, what you can do with that. And certainly a lot of work and time renovating these units. Going back real quick, did you end up billing back, charging RUBS for the utilities for these folks? Or is that still included in the rent for you?
Yeah. So what we did was we just had the tenants pay their own electricity, their own gas. We didn't bill for us specifically, but the market was around 700 for my type of unit, which is a C-class apartment complex. And then in Oklahoma, they typically bill back for water and then trash. You just increase the rent accordingly.
Okay.
So I know in California, it's very common where they'll just say, hey, on top of your rent, you're going to pay additional, whatever, 70 to $100 as part of a RUB. So we just increased their rents to market value and made sure that they covered their own rent. So 700 was like top of market for my unit. So that's how we're adding value. Like you said earlier, in the beginning, it's a little bit rough because when you take over the apartment complex, what they don't tell you is I said that we have 10K, and the moment you take over an apartment complex, you have tenants stop paying you. You have tenants leave because you have a new evil landlord that's coming in that's doing renovation, and they're going to raise their rents. They know they've been getting away with these cheap rents for the past 5 years because the prior owner had the property paid off free and clear and wasn't motivated, self-managing. They don't want to deal with tenant turnover. So when you come, you're going to have people stop paying. They're going to milk it. You're going to send an eviction notice. They're going to walk out before you evict them. I was at 24 out of 26 units. Honestly, when I took over in the first 3 months, it dropped down to 15. As I mentioned earlier, I had $3,000 in cash flow. But if you have 9 tenants to leave at $500 a pop, I mean, there goes your cash flow, right? So that's why you really have to think long-term, and you have to have that money up front, right? So I did have to do my down payment plus have the renovation cost. But what I was able to do, which I forgot to mention, was I actually asked for a seller repair credit from the seller. So I did a due diligence inspection. The roof was end of life. I needed a new roof. They had about 10 electrical panels that were recalled. So I got bids for all of those. And I asked them, hey, like, this is going to cost me $120,000 to fix. I want that credited back to me at the close of escrow. He said, no, this property is as is. But if you bring back the issues that's urgent and life threatening, I'll consider it. So I just said, okay, I didn't need to replace the roof. Obviously that's protection. Yeah. And the electrical panels are a fire hazard because they've been recalled. So that ended up being about $60,000. So I actually got $60,000 credited to me at the close of escrow, and it cut my down payment in half. So I had to come in with $120,000. But at closing, I only came in with $60K. And what was nice was I got to use that $60K to basically get a new roof and then place those electrical panels as I was turning the units. So that's how I was able to really leverage on the deal and get in there. I will say it's pretty challenging, but once you renovate one unit, it's copy and paste. Like literally how I renovate my first unit, all my other units look the same. Like you can look across my whole portfolio that I own. All the units look very similar. It makes it easier for the contractor. It makes it easier to buy supplies because you can buy in bulk, and it makes it easier for you as the operator because I'm remote, right? I'm far away in California. I'm not in Oklahoma City, and I just know exactly what it's going to look like. They just pick progress photos along the way. But if you can do one deal like what I'm doing, and it may take me 2.5 to 3 years, and you do a cash out refinance, like I said, I bought it for 500. I'm putting in maybe let's call it 300 for renovation costs, all in for 800. It's worth 1.5 million. That's $700,000 of equity. You do a cash out refinance, 75% loan to value. You would have pulled back your down payment, your renovation costs, and probably some extra money on top of that. I've been doing this project I owned it for about 2 years now. It's probably going to take me at least another half a year to do it. But unfortunately, interest rates are terrible right now anyway. So I don't want to refinance my 4% interest rate to go to an 8%. I'm just going to sit back and collect that cash flow. Once interest rates drop, then by all means, I'm going to do a nice cash out refinance.
Absolutely. And the cash flow right now for you is protective. It doesn't matter what the interest rate is, your cash flow, and who cares? At some point, the interest rate's going to go down. You're going to refinance. You're going to pull that money out. And I'm sure you're going to put it into some more deals. Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's a home run for sure. Congratulations on that. What did you stick in the Oklahoma City market, or what was next after these 26 units for you?
Yeah. So after that, I admit I had shiny object syndrome a little bit. So that's what I dived into my mobile home park, which I own in Alabama. So it was funny. So I own a single family home in Alabama. So I was just looking on LoopNet, and what happened was I just was surfing. I was looking at an apartment complex in Alabama because I just thought, hey, I have boots on the ground there. I know the area. And I just stumbled across like a mobile home park. And once again, like it was $1.1 million. They wanted 10% down. The owner was going to seller finance the deal at $1 million, 5% interest only. And it's a 200 lot mobile home park. About maybe only 20 were occupied at the time. And I just saw this as a huge value add play where if I can go in, fix up the homes, rent them out, sell them, rent out some of the homes to lot rent, allow tenants to move their homes in and just pay me lot rent and just really turn around this park. I thought I was going to make a really big killing, right? This is a 200 lot park. If that park's all filled, I mean, that thing's going to be worth over $10 million and I bought for $1 million. So that was my second deal. And once again, my single family homes in California were $1 million. So once again, I was like, wait a second, I own 55 acres of land in Alabama, 200 lot park potential, and I can just bring in these homes and add units. With apartments, it's very hard to add units. Mobile home, as long as you have that lot ready to go, you just buy one of those brand new homes from Clayton or True for about $45K. You can plop that home there and then you can either sell it to qualified buyers and they just pay you lot rent, or you can rent them out and then just collect the rent and be a landlord. Honestly, I thought that was going to be my golden goose and thought that, wow, you just do this park well, and you can get that park up to half 100 out of 200, and that'll be easily worth $5 million. At that point, you can cash out refinance or flip it and sell it, and I could probably just leave my day job. So that was my mentality. And for kind of context, I closed on my 26 unit in August of 2021. I got the mobile home park in November of 2021. Wow. So about, what is that? Like 3 months apart, I bought another 20, 30 units.
Man, that's incredible. Were you scared at all buying that mobile home park?
To be honest, I would say looking back, I definitely had the rosy colored glasses in terms of buying it. What I really underestimate about mobile home parks is how much operations it takes. Like, however, it takes 5 times as much effort and manpower and steps to stabilize a mobile home park versus an apartment complex. Apartment complex is, if you break it down, it's literally a box that people live in, and you just got to renovate it and make it clean, functional, practical. And then after that, you just collect your rent. With a mobile home park, you have to manage 55 acres of land. What does that entail? You got to mow the grass. In Alabama, when it rains, that crabweed grows up to like 5 feet tall. And so you have to maintain it. You have roads you need to maintain. You have all the street lights that you have to pay for. The lots, you need to pay for all the water. You need to have an on-site property manager, a full-time maintenance guy, a landscaper. So there's just a lot of fixed costs that comes with owning 55 acres of land, which I underestimated a little bit. And then another challenging portion was property manager is much harder to find for mobile home parks. You can't just fire your property manager who lives in a park and then replace them the next day. With my apartment complex, I literally could fire my property manager today and I have 2 backups ready to go. With mobile home parks, it's not that easy, right? You gotta interview some of the tenants that live there. There's not many third-party managers. And a lot of times they're not going to be good too because they don't want to deal with the mobile home park because it's a lot more work. And then managing contractors with mobile parks is way more challenging as well. Just because you can renovate an apartment complex doesn't mean you can renovate a mobile home. Different sizing, different materials. You know, it's a lot harder to source materials. You have to order from somewhere else. During COVID, it was hard supply chain issues. It took forever to get things made, get things shipped to you. Fortunately, you have a lot more turnover because in the mobile home park space, the general contractors, they want to be paid on an hourly basis. And you know the problem with that, right? Because whether you're working fast or slow, you're getting paid $12 an hour. So you're not very motivated if it's really hot and humid in Alabama to work fast versus if I say, hey, I'm paying you $2,000 for this project. whether you finish that in 1 day or 20 days, you get paid the same money. So that was just a challenge that I faced. And that's why I understood why large syndicators, they have to have everything in-house and they're vertically integrated. They have property management in-house. They have renovation crew in-house. They have everything in-house, and they're probably losing money on that end, but they're trying to make money through doing the value at mobile home parks. So it was definitely a lesson that I learned. But I think my initial intent was to do a catch-up refinance on this to raise it up to 100. But once I quickly realized how time and resource intensive it was, I pivoted to just fixing and flipping it. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. I basically proved the model of how to bring in home and how much you can rent them out for. And I proved the model of renovating the home and how much that will cost and how much you can rent those out for. I'm hoping to flip that to a larger operator who has the capital to bring the park all the way and has the time and the resources, because I'm still working full time, managing my apartment complexes and then doing this as well. It was definitely cool to step out into mobile home parks, but definitely learned my lessons in just staying focused on one thing. Don't have the shiny object syndrome and just do one thing very well. I have a really great team in Oklahoma City, so I didn't need to deviate to another market and then deviate to another asset class. Just owning enough real estate in Oklahoma City, you can be very wealthy, right? There's a lot of real estate there. You don't have to deviate. But at the time when I bought it, obviously very excited, listened to a lot of podcasts. Bigger Pockets, Brand Turner, he's really big on mobile home parks, but what they never tell you is how much work it truly is and the dark side about it. And I don't blame them because they're trying to raise money. But for me, by actually doing it and being in the weeds, I saw what it was like as an operator that, man, it's a challenging profession. I really respect it, but if you can make it work, the money is insane. The money is insane, but it's a lot of work, a lot of sweat equity. And given that I work full time, it just wasn't a good fit for me. So that's why I decided that I need to basically sell this park.
Yeah. Brandon Turner, if you're listening, come by my boy Steven's mobile home park and we'll just split the referral fee there. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. There's a lot of things I wouldn't have thought about. For example, the landscaping of 55 acres. And I'm from Virginia and I've spent some time in Alabama. They're probably mowing every day out there during the summer with all the rain and the heat and the humidity and the sun out there. I bet that grass and the crabweeds and all the weeds down there are just growing like crazy. So yeah, that's definitely something I wouldn't have thought about. As substantial of a landscaping expense as it probably is for you for that and all the other expenses. Good luck with that. And shiny object syndrome, I think it's something we all suffer from when we're getting started in real estate. And sometimes it probably takes longer than others to realize that's something that you're suffering with. I still have it, to be completely honest. I reached out to you about buying your mobile home park. And we're focused on assisted living, and that's our one thing right now. I still need to work on that, but I think it's probably helpful for you that you've realized, hey, this is something that I need to get out of or sell and really focus full time on these apartment complexes, which you're really crushing it in that space. What was next, or what is next after the mobile home park sales?
Yeah, and actually circle back a bit. Yeah, 55 acres. The moment the guy mows from one end to the other, it takes a week, he has to start over again. And then that's another huge expense. And then to cut down trees. So it's hurricane season, right? You have to trim down your trees. The power company will trim down the trees near the power lines, but the ones that aren't, oh my God, it costs $600-700 to trim down these 100-foot trees. So these are expenses that they don't talk about you're hit with. So that's why I said there's a lot of fixed costs. But after buying this park, I did buy another apartment complex in Oklahoma. It wasn't Oklahoma City specifically. It was a smaller tertiary market called Enid, Oklahoma, which is probably about 90 minutes away, closer to Kansas at that border. And I actually got this deal from that same lettering campaign that I mailed back for the past 6 months. The guy actually sent me a postcard back with his number on it. And I called him and he just said, hey, I want to sell this park or this 20-unit apartment complex. I think 15 out of 20 units were occupied. He just was looking to sell it and then dump it into his business that he was doing and made an offer for, I think he wanted $400,000 on it. So once again, I was like, wait a second, 20-unit apartment complex, $400,000. This is dirt cheap, right? But no banks would lend on it. So the challenge I learned about investing in tertiary markets is a lot of banks do not want to invest in small markets, right? If it's less than $50,000, the loan size is less than $500,000. If it's less than 50K per unit, that wipes out a lot of lenders, right? A lot of national lenders, a lot of regional lenders. And what I really had to do was really engage the local lenders as well as work with mortgage brokers. So what I did was I pitched this deal. So I got it under contract for $350,000. I literally went to my 10 lenders and said, at what price would you lend on this property? That's the price that the buyer would sell to me or the seller would sell to me at. So I literally said, all right, let's underwrite this deal together. I literally underwrote the deal together with the loan officer and said, all right, you want a debt service coverage ratio of 1.25% or 1.25. So that means that if your income must be 1.25 times more than your debt, your annual or your monthly debt service. You can work backwards, right? You take your monthly rent, taking an expense account expense. So it's usually around 45 to 55% for small apartment complexes. Whatever is left is your net operating income. And at that point, it has to be 1.25 times your loan amount or the monthly payment for your loan. So we came to the agreement of $350,000. So when I got the pre-approval letter, I brought it back to the seller and said, hey, I want to give you $400,000. Problem is no lender will lend on that, but I can give you $350,000. Here's my pre-approval letter. So he agreed with it. He's okay. Cause I wasn't trying to cheat him, right? I just wanted to solve the problem, get the deal, get this deal off his hands. And so I got for 350. And my plan was I actually got a hard money loan on it. So I did 25% down, which was around $80,000. It actually included $100,000 worth of renovation. So my goal was to use $100,000, renovate as many units as I could, do a new paint on the exterior, and replace the external staircase. What's crazy was during the due diligence period, I found out that one unit was completely burned down.
Oh, wow.
So he literally had a grease fire in the kitchen 5 years ago, and it burned down. For the past 5 years, he didn't bother to renovate it. On top of that, he didn't do an insurance claim. So what does that tell you? Number one, that tells you that he got cheap insurance. And how I knew he got cheap insurance because he paid $5,000 a year for cheap insurance. My insurance for that same 20 units a day is $13,000. And I got replacement cost insurance. So if that unit burned down, I'm going to get enough money to renovate that unit brand new to 2022 or 2023 standards, right? So $40,000 was allocated to renovating that unit, and the remaining $60,000 I wanted to use to renovate their other vacant units, right? But once I bought the property, same thing. I bought the property, 15 out of 20 are occupied. After 1 month, I was at 7 out of 20. I lost 8 tenants. 2 stopped paying, or at least 3 stopped paying. I had a bed bug infestation because one tenant was letting homeless people stay in his room for services. I'll keep it PG. For services. And because of that, there's a huge bed bug infestation. And I had to fumigate all the units, which cost me $10,000. And keep in mind that if that thing is fully vacant at market rent, $500 per unit, that's $10,000. I spent 1 month's worth of rent just to fumigate the apartment complex. But I thought, hey, I bought this for $350. It appraised at $400,000. And at the time when I bought it, May of 2022, I thought after I was done with the renovations and raising the rents to $500 to $550, those are going to be worth $800,000, about $40K per unit. So I just said, you know what? Hey, this sucks today. But what's beautiful about renovating apartment complexes is I was still getting $3,000 a month and I was renovating the units. Single family homes, when you're renovating that home, you get zero rent until you finish renovations. You've done a deal. You renovated properties. You know that you get zero rent until it's fully done. With apartments, I'm renovating 13 units, but I still have 7 units paying me. So at least those 7 units was enough to cover my monthly hard money loan. So that's what was really nice about it. Went through, had a hard money loan. Fast forward to today, hard money loan was called due. Trying to cash out refinance during this market when interest rates soared significantly. For some context, my hard money loan interest rate was 9%. And guess what the regular interest rates are today? It's 9%.
Yeah.
So I was like, my hard money loan from a year ago is better than my loan today. So literally I was trying to pitch it to multiple banks again, had a lot of difficulty, right? Given this climate, given the high interest rates, a lot of lenders, local lenders do not want to invest in deals and they scrutinize heavily. I was fortunate. I was able to engage Bank of the West, who I used to finance my 26 unit. And even them, I have an existing relationship with them. They're giving me such a hard time and they're scrutinizing my tax returns to a T. And as you can imagine, as somebody who's doing value-added real estate on a 26 unit, a mobile home park and a 20 unit, my tax returns do not look pretty, right? I have a lot of expenses, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So they're giving me such a hard time. And my interest rate that I'm quoted was 7.5%, which is, you asked me a year ago, I'd laugh at you and hang up. Today, that's actually good, right? 7.5 is actually good. The hard money rates are around 13% for context. And they got me approved for the loan. But now the struggle I'm going through is the appraisal. The appraiser, he appraised it at, I think, $520,000. And keep in mind, I thought this was going to be worth $700,000 to $800,000.
Yeah.
So to me, it sounds terrible, but I would probably have to leave, assuming I get that loan, about $80,000 in the deal. So I put $80,000 as a down payment, about $120,000 for renovation. So I get back my renovation money, but I just leave $80,000 in the deal. As you learn with the BRRRR strategy, like you cannot always pull out all your money. If it's a long-term game, if I leave 80K in the deal, well, in 3 years, interest rates drop back to 4%. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a cash out refinance, pull out my 80K at least, maybe a little more on top of that, and then be okay with it. That's why I said like real estate's really a long-term game. Like all these hiccups I'm having with my 26 unit, my mobile home park, trying to sell that and then doing a cash out refinance for my 26 unit or my 20 unit. Honestly, if I look back 3-4 years from now, it probably won't even matter. So that's been the perspective I've been having going through this period where I just feel like I'm getting hit left and right, like blindsided left and right out of nowhere. And no one could have anticipated interest rates would have gone this crazy. There's a lot of pessimism surrounding the real estate market right now compared to a year ago. And a lot of people are getting burned, right? If you got a variable interest rate loans and you're being called due this year, like you're getting hit, right? Who would have known in a year? Like I underwrote worst case. Okay. Yeah. Maybe it'll be 6%, whatever, right? I could take the hit. We got humbled real quick and interest rates are still going up. So it's been really interesting. So if you kind of backtrack that,